This is the Renoir table easel. I am so excited about it. It just came in. I've been waiting for it for months and it's finally arrived. It's Creative Mark, and that is a brand that is exclusive to, or probably is, Jerry's Artarama's private brand. This, when I show it to you, I think you're going to be really impressed. And if you're in the market for one, this is the one you're going to want to get. If you look on the box, it says that it's 14 by 16 inches, 14 inches high, 16 inches wide. So it's not really very large, 5 inches deep, but it will accommodate a 34-inch high canvas. So that is amazing. That's worth everything right there. All right. So here's the easel, and let me just check, make sure the focus is pretty good. All right, I think we're in focus. I think we're pretty good. All right, you can see right there it says Renoir. Now, what? Not very large. So it doesn't have a huge footprint on the table. It's all wood, and I guess maybe everything, all of the hardware is probably brass. It's got a great handle. I don't know if that's actually leather, but it feels like leather. You can look and see that all of the brass fittings are really well made, nice and solid. It's not going anywhere. Screwed in real well. Reattach this. Oh, that's got this latch is spring loaded, so it's really nicely made. Now over here on the side, so I would trust this handle. Just to say this, I would trust this handle, even if it was had a lot of weight in it. I don't think it's going anywhere. Over here to the side, you've got two latches, and that is to open up and the drawer comes out. Now, I was surprised when I first opened it up that the drawer does not have runners, so it's just inside the box. There's not a stop to keep it from coming all the way out, which is just fine. It actually makes it where if you were to put your brushes and your paints and other supplies in here, and you had a great big canvas that you're working on, and you wanted to reach around to get anything, well, then the canvas would be in the way. So this way, you can take this out, set it over to the side. You could put it on the other side and have it on a table. It's just a lot more convenient. Now, these dividers do give you a decent amount of variation if you want in how you construct the layout of the box. If you, of course, move this large piece this way, then you couldn't connect these two subdividers to it. By the same token, if you move it in the other direction, then you'd make the area too small for these to work. So either way, you either do it like this, or you could remove these two and move this back and forth. So you've got a few different layouts that you could use. I would probably keep it like this: brushes here and paints. But I really, really like it. One thing, and the other thing too, is if you put paints, other things in here, and then close it up, it also serves as a great counterweight for the box, so that if it's sitting on the table, that'll help to weight it down, and you're not as afraid of flipping it forward with your painting on it. Now, there's a latch right here. Like I said, this thing is, I believe it's spring loaded. I can see the little spring in there, so that you pop that up, and this serves as a release to allow you to lift up the, I don't even know what this is called. It's just whatever this framework is to hold your canvas. Now, this is interesting. I don't know if I like this particular design, but it's certainly not a deal breaker. I love this thing already. But these two nuts that hold this part of the frame going up and down, and it's pretty much infinitely, not infinitely, but it's highly adjustable. You can go from flat to actually tilting way forward. So you could actually be sitting on the floor, I guess, and paint upwards. I don't know why you would, but you could. So it's got a tremendous amount of flexibility there. These two nuts tighten it down. Now, I'm not sure why they put these nuts on the inside. I've got two French easels, a half box and a full box. And on both of them, these nuts are on the outside so that if you wanted to loosen it so that you could lower this back down and adjust for any reason, then you can just reach around. Even if you had a large painting, you could reach your arm around and adjust. Well, that would really be awkward unless you have a little bitty canvas. So I'm not sure why they put it in there. Maybe, looking at, let me get this adjusted to the camera. You can see that this brace is attached here. So I guess that's why. It's just to make it as compact as possible. If they didn't, they'd have to put, this brace would actually have to be out here. And I think that's the way it is on the French easel. I don't have it out, but that's probably why, is that this brace on the French easels is on the outside. So this makes it just a little more compact and less in the way. So I understand. It's just that if you do have a canvas or canvas board on here, then if you go to adjust it, chances are you're either going to have to really get up and reach around, or probably just take the whole thing off and adjust it however you want it and then set it back down. Now, on the back there, and you can see in the background, you can see I'm doing this through my Zoom, and you can see actually what I'm seeing on the camera. That may be distracting, but not much I can do about it. You've got two wing nuts. You got one down here and one up here. And the beautiful thing about this is that you can adjust all the way up. And let me move my camera. You can reach around and this will drop all the way down. So you've got, again, that's where you can accommodate a 34-inch canvas on this easel. And as far as width is concerned, I guess the sky's the limit, but 34 inches would be the maximum you could get. Now, the reason this is so wonderful is that so many table easels, you go to work on your painting and you can't get your painting low enough to be able to work on it. And so you've got to either ratchet your chair up or stand up. It's just really awkward. And this being able to drop the painting down is ideal, and it's worth the investment. Now, I will tell you that at the time of this shooting, of this filming, there is the supply chain issue of 2021. This is October, the end of October of 2021. And like I said, I waited for months for this thing to come in because everything's backed up. I paid $87 for this. The entire time I was waiting, it went from $57 to $117 and then back to $57 and back up, just all over the place. And I was so shocked when it finally appeared on the Jerry's website for $87. It is, in my estimation, well worth it. There are a couple of different brands that are similar to this that you can get from Hobby Lobby, from Michael's, or on Amazon. I don't recommend them. They're not terrible, but compared to this, they are very flimsy. This thing is built so rugged and so sturdy. These sliding pieces are milled, I guess it'd be called milled, far better. I mean, this wiggles ever so slightly, ever so slightly. With the others that I actually tested out in the stores, this wiggle was far more pronounced. None of these parts fit as well. They weren't as thick. These are actually reasonably thick pieces of wood. Now it's not it's stained, but it's not totally finished. So this is still raw wood, and it has a little bit of raw wood feel, but it has been sanded fairly smooth. All the edges are nice and rounded. Of course, that's a little bit of a sharp edge, but all around through here, all of this is nice and rounded. It's been really well done, well thought out. Um, I waited. I could have bought the other, and I just felt like I had heard other people review this and say, "Oh no, get the Renoir. Wait for it. It's far sturdier," and that's what I'm suggesting here. Okay, here is a canvas. I'll turn it around in a second. Let's measure this thing. It is 16 by 20, and this is a finished painting I did for an opera years ago, and it was used as a background piece. What I actually did was I painted it, and they photographed it, and then they projected it up rather than paint. And I've done these big murals in the past for opera productions before, and we've just found that it's a lot faster and easier now to paint something like this, photograph it, and project it up than try to do I did a 4 by 24 foot mural for an opera years ago, and I had to do it in 3 days. And it just there are time crunches when you're involved in those kind of productions. And here right now, I'm having to reach around to get this and tighten it up. So that's where it's a little awkward, but it's not a deal breaker. It's just, it would have been nice had it been where I could reach back there, but you live with what you got. Okay, just had to get the bottom piece in to fit in the canvas. Interesting. Okay, now I've got a board back here, and what's happening is if you try and put your canvas inside this, then the back of the canvas stretcher apparently is pushing a little bit into these two boards. And so it's making it where it's fine. It's fine. But I'm just letting you know that, and it may be, I've got a piece of cardboard. You saw I had a piece of cardboard back here. That piece of cardboard is pushing into these boards. And so it's torquing that just a little bit. It's no big deal. It's just I had to figure out what was going on. If I didn't have that cardboard in this, I'm sure it would be no issue, no big deal. But that I'm pretty positive that's what's happening. Actually, just fits tight, and there it is. You're not going to break it or anything like that. Boy, that sits just absolutely wonderfully. I love that. And you can see here, here's the edge of my table. And if I wanted to, this is an even larger board. This is a drawn with pencil on this piece of canvas, which is mounted to a masonite board. And you could see that if I wanted to drop this down a lot. I'm going to back the camera up and let you see that make sure it's in focus. I think that's in focus. So you can see that here's the edge of my table, and I have dropped down 5 inches below the edge of the table so that I can work way up here if I wanted to. If it weren't for that, and I won't fib to you, this is a little awkward getting your hand in here to try and adjust that. But I mean, you can't have everything. Nothing's going to be perfect. So you learn to deal with stuff. And the reason I'm having trouble getting this together is that my microphone is up here. And so that's where I'm trying to adjust around the microphone. But that's as low as the average table easel is going to allow you to get. And if I were working up high, then I'd have to sit up really straight or stand up or have my chair sitting up real high for me to be able to reach way up here. But with this easel, I can just drop it down and I can work with it right straight in front of me or actually below me. So I absolutely love this thing. It is amazing. I'm not going to because I don't care, but some people would coat this with a coating of some sort of a varnish. That way, if they did get paint on it, it'd be easier to wipe off. I don't think I have any varnish. And honestly, I don't know that I care. I don't know that I care. I'm a pretty careful painter, but I mean, it's a piece of equipment. It's going to get paint on it. So that's just fine. As far as carrying it out in the field, I would just remind you that, of course, it is a table easel. So it's not like you can put it on a tripod or anything. This will get a little crooked, so you got to make sure you get it in there just right, and then that'll latch up nice and tight. Like I say, this is spring loaded, so it wants to come back down. That latches down. Yeah, it's really very, very compact. You could actually, if you take it out in the field, you could take your canvas and flip it around so that it'd be protected from getting smudged or whatever. If you did get really creative, I guess you could put some sort of a tripod nut. I would not. I'd be afraid between its weight and everything else, you'd probably snap it. I would rather have a table and just set it on the table. But yeah, for $87, I would highly, highly recommend this. And even if it's double the price of the competitors, it's worth every dime. If you've enjoyed this episode, think about subscribing. You can also check out my podcast at thearthropologist.podbean.com.